that's weighing you down, and let your spirit fly. Love's unconditional, so spread it around. There is no need to hide. Ba-da-ba, it's your part. Ba-da-ba. Only love is real. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Only love, only love, only love, 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 love. Only love, only love, 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 love. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everybody live streaming. Welcome to the San Jose Center for Spiritual Living, where we are transforming lives, building dreams, and revealing love. And where all that we ask is that you remain open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. Welcome home. My name is Marcia Bencala, and I'm a licensed prayer practitioner and a member of your core council. This is the magnificent Patrick Lynch, who is our prac of the day. And we would especially like to give a warm welcome to those of you who are here for the first time. We're honored that this is how you've chosen to spend your Sunday morning. There's all kinds of ways to understand what our center is all about. We have our website. There's an information wall in Fellowship Hall after the service. We have a concierge desk where you can ask people questions, pick up a welcome packet. You can also pick up the same welcome packet on your way out if you choose to go through the foyer. So an important part of our spiritual practice is being in community together. So if you'll take a moment and say hello to somebody sitting near you. Of good energy in this room. I can tell. Another element of our spiritual practice is to be in silence together. So if you'll take a moment and make sure that your mobile devices will also be silent, we would appreciate that. So Gina and Tammy are going to help us with a chant. Then we'll go into 2 minutes of silence or meditation, followed by a prayer. Here we go. Only love is real. Only love is real. One more time. Only love is real.
Let us pray. We are here to open our eyes to the one presence, that one power, that one beauty, that one force that grows within each and every one of us, that is each and every one of us. It is the seed that grows to the mighty tree. We are that seed. We are that mighty tree. We are the sunlight. We are the water. We show up here to have the awakening, to open our eyes to this power within us that is us. I know that we are here, that we have this in us, that this power for wholeness, this power of love that is within us, that powers that seedling to the mighty tree is there, that we will grow in that love that grows us and brings us forth as we bring forth that love into the world. I know that this is true. I see it. I have been it. I continue to be it. I see it in the world around me as it is manifest. I am grateful that we are here, that I am here, that we grow this. We each grow our mighty tree, and I am so grateful for this. And I know that this is so, and I am thankful that it is so. And so, with me, seal this, and so it is. And now this month's affirmation. Today, I bestow the essence of love upon everything. Everyone I meet shall be lovely to me. My soul meets the soul of the universe in everyone. This love is a healing power touching everything into wholeness. A new... Oh.
This song was born from what I think of as the dark night of the soul, my dark night of the soul. And the next day I had this, the very next day. Once my heart was broken, I began to live the lie. Fall into that tiny space where dreams go to die. Collected glass and weaponry that tiny hands can hold. Built myself a room of steel, pretending to be bold. And I made some things, even bought some wings that wouldn't fly. There was so much more behind every door, but who am I? Then I heard about the language of light, a kaleidoscope of color in the night, and a quiet voice whispering of choice. You will live when you forgive. Forgive. First I was uncertain how to stand in this new place, knowing I could not forgive what I could not face. I needed love's community. I reached for you and you reached for me, and all the possibility of now. And I still fall sometime, but I see, Spirit moves through me, I understand. So I sing about the language of light, a kaleidoscope of color in the night, and a quiet voice whispering of choice. You will live, you will live. It's allowing, it's a letting, it's a being, not a getting. It's a laughter, it's a grace, it's your hand upon my face. It's my voice on your skin, sinking deeper within, to the place where we know it's alright. I am open and free, letting light shine through me. I will honor the ones who have come before me, and I forgive everyone, everyone forgives me. I am open my heart, I am butterfly free, and I will fly. I will fly, fly, and I will fly, fly,
Good morning. My name is Gregory Merritt, and next month I celebrate 5 years of being a member of this community. It's been a wonderful journey with you all, and today I want to share about my quest for romantic love, surrendering to the mystery and surrendering to the greatest love of all. So some of us have a tendency to romanticize romantic love. I look at it as like the ultimate expression of love, right? So 2 weeks ago when Bernie was up here and professing Karen to be his soulmate and getting down on one knee, that was cool. So what I want to do now is have us zoom out and just have that perspective. The greatest love of all is the love of the Creator for his creation. So you might recall back in September, I shared that I had an intention to find a woman who shared my spiritual values. And in December, I started dating someone. We really hit it off. I was like, here we go. And we're really building out the momentum. There's no commitment, but it was looking good. That is until she said, I want to commit to be with someone else. I was like, what? The love train was derailed. So all of us have those moments. For me, is a test, like how was I going to live my spiritual principle? Where to start? So I started with a good temper tantrum. And effective temper tantrum is awesome because it dissipates that energy. You get cleared out. You just want to do it without getting it all over everybody else. So in that clearing, though, when mine had subsided, I was able to say, so how is this for my good? First was like, well, not. But that resistance faded over time, and I noticed that I just started being present to the disappointment and opening to the gifts, one of which was that great reminder of how I want to go about developing a romantic relationship. And that was like, so my heart's more open. So that's a good place to be. And once you know it, immediately after this, I met someone new. And she's an amazing woman, and we're having this great time together. And I can really see how that experience with the woman before helped set me up, prepare, made me available for this relationship. So now she's the one, right? Maybe. So there's this, I want to think that I know why she's in my life. And the truth is, I don't know where this is going. And so I find myself just being willing to participate in this unfolding mystery, giving up the strategizing how I'm going to get her to fit into what I want. How I'm going to control her so I feel safe. Right? None of you have ever done that. So, but to just be present and be moved by this lovely woman and see what happens next. So just allowing for that spontaneity. So what I do know is right now she is the perfect woman for me to explore uncharted territory. That of a conscious, loving relationship with a like-minded woman. And do that in trust, wonderment, guided by the beloved. So now that brings us back to that higher perspective. So I know throughout this entire process and in the future, I'm sustained by divine love. So I wanted to capture that experience. So I want to share with you my poetical affirmation. My heart is nestled in the heart of the divine. My heartbeat is entrained with the heartbeat of Mother Earth. My heart breathes in unconditional love. My heart opens to the embrace of the beloved. I release my attachment to romantic love. I release my attachment to finding the one. I give up my desperate search for my soulmate. I enjoy the loving relationships I have with the many soulmates in my life right now. I am loved by the Creator beyond what I can comprehend. I circulate divine love freely. I am divinely guided and meet just the right and perfect people to express love. I am present to love everywhere I go. God is ever reaching out through you and I to know itself, to love itself and the other. God loves itself through the many expressions of human love. A mother and a child, a grandfather and grandchild, co-workers engaged in creative activity, the sweetness of children at play, siblings who challenge each other, friends who love and support each other, two lovers intertwined in sweaty epiphany. All these are the human expression of the greatest love of all, that of the Creator for its creation. And I thank you for participating in this loving expression. Namaste.
Good morning. I think I heard him say sweaty epiphany. Did you guys hear that? I heard that. That's what do you hear that? God, I love this place. Good morning. Good morning, everyone online. I wish you the best day ever. I'm very happy to be here with you. I'm very happy to be back from Florida. I had a really good time. I went to Central Florida for the annual conference of our denomination, and I was fortunate enough to have been invited to be a keynote speaker. And then I also, I'm old enough now that I was on a panel of elders. Yeah. So I'm working through that with my therapist. I'm beardless, and there's mixed reviews. Yeah. So while I was at this conference in Florida, I had an experience of listening to some really extraordinary people, and I learned a few things. I learned that the church in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, they actually have a lottery every year for their congregation. And to hear it described by Reverend Dr. Patrick Cameron, he would say this, they have a $1 million lottery at their church every year. Yes, and the winner gets $1 million. And it's paid $1 a year for 1 million years. And Patrick Cameron said, it keeps people living a very long time, and it keeps them coming back. He said, in fact, one man won 3 years in a row. I learned that everybody, while I was at this conference, I learned that everybody has wants. One minister in particular, her name is Reverend Sally, and Reverend Sally of Phoenix said she wants to once again be the actual weight that is printed on her driver's license. And no trip to Florida would be complete without a trip to the theme parks, and it was just glorious. Mauricio and I went a few days early to do some other work. But while I was there, I got to escape to Universal, because there's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which I had been to before, and it's aging beautifully, like me. I had a really good time there, and while I was there, I was remembering book 1 of the Harry Potter series. In England, it's called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. In the U.S., it's called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. But the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone, is a stone that is supposed to have alchemical properties such that it can turn base metals such as lead into gold. So people want the Philosopher's Stone. They want the Sorcerer's Stone because the person who has that has the ability to turn lead into gold. Our topic today is called the Lodestone. And the Lodestone is another one of those desirable stones, if you will. The Lodestone is a real thing, though. It's not just mythical. The Lodestone is a piece of magnetite. It is magnetite or pyrite, both of which have natural magnetic properties. So a lodestone is a magnet, but a natural magnet. But a lodestone is a magnet that could magnetize metallic objects to it. But a lodestone is also something that's used to describe people. Some people are lodestones. They're magnets for good. They're magnets for possibility, and they're magnets for transformation. In our book of the year, which is entitled A New Design for Living, our reading for today is The Lodestone of Life, which comes from chapter 15. And it's just a couple of paragraphs, but I'd just like to read to you one paragraph. It would be unwise to ignore or in any way seek to avoid the greatest of all truths. Love is the lodestone of life, and it is a feeling that must permeate everything we do and everything we are. It must flow out from us to everyone that we contact. And if we are to accept in any degree the evidence of modern investigation, we may definitely state that without love, there is no living. And that even a much larger percentage of physical troubles than we may yet realize is based on the lack of happiness, the lack of appreciation, and the lack of joy. So the lodestone, that which magnetizes us for good, is, according to Ernest Holmes, the man who synthesized our faith tradition, the lodestone that magnetizes good is love. Now that sounds like a great theory, but I'm wondering who's really going to try this out. So often, I can be in a room like this, and I'm inspired. It's like, yeah, I get it. God is love. God is love, and love is God. But that theory seems to stay kind of like an item at Nordstrom with an inventory control tag on it. It stays inside the building when you leave because you're afraid some alarm will go off if you take it out with you. I have noticed that so often Even at this convention, I got to see myself in so many people, how I can be in a room like this, all jazzed and excited about the possibility of love, but that concept seems to go out the window when we are confronted with the everyday realities of life, like disagreement, or disappointment, or unhappiness, or things don't work out the way you want, or your airline's flight has been delayed, or you lost some money in an investment, or you got a diagnosis from a doctor. Then we get to see what we really believe. When faced with trouble, then we know what we believe. So the lodestone for me is something that I'm pretty excited about, because I know people who are lodestones. I know people, you probably do too, who just seem to be extraordinarily lucky, or the heavens seem to have smiled upon them. And I had all kinds of stories about why that wasn't so for me. You know, I hear so many from people like you, my friends. Well, they're just lucky and I'm not. They were raised in a better neighborhood than I was raised. They had more money than I did as a kid. They had a better waistline, or more intelligence, or a better figure. They had the right gender, the right orientation. I mean, all these stories about why someone might be winning and I feel or experience that I'm not. But you know, when I look at all those people who seem to have or be a lodestone, you know, a magnet for good, they seem to have something in common. They're naturally cheerful. They seem to be moving through the world with a noticeable absence of victim mentality. And I'm thinking, I so want to be like that. I'm learning actually my fights and my dramas, plural. My fights and my dramas are so much less interesting than they used to be. Yeah. Amen. They're so much briefer. And I think it's because I've been hanging around places like this with people like you online who write to me regularly. Thank you for your correspondence. I'm living with somebody like Mauricio, working with an extraordinary core council like the one we've got right now in the Visioning Core and the Practitioner Core, really top-notch folks. And I've noticed that each is devoted to his or her own personal practice. So we're no longer a group of people who are espousing that God is good and God is everywhere. We're a group of people who are proving it. And there's a distinction. Do you guys know anybody who talks a lot about how good something is, but they're really not doing it? Have you ever met someone like that? Please don't look at your neighbor right now. This is not a good time to be exchanging glances. Yeah. I've been that person so often. I've like rallied, carried the flag and the banner about science of mind, change your thinking, change your life. All the while, I really wasn't aware that I hadn't really changed my thinking nor my life. I had added a few quips and anecdotes, but I really hadn't applied it. You know, the people who seem to be applying it the most, and they're on the fast track for applying it, are people who are in trouble. Some of the most moving encounters I've had of late have been with folks who have faced death. People who have maybe had a diagnosis, a terminal diagnosis. Maybe it's someone who's recently lost a beloved. Maybe it's someone who's gone through bankruptcy or foreclosure or become homeless or has put themselves into a rehab. You know, when you're really faced where the rubber meets the road, that's when we are faced with a choice. And the choice is, will I apply what I know? We say, wow, there's so much, give me the book. I don't remember everything that's in the science of mind. It's so big, but it's really not big. The stuff that we're seeking is really, really simple. Have character. Be honest. Be good to people. Stop lashing out. Hold your tongue. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Make a contribution. Help people. I mean, all the stuff that we learn in school, that we learn in kindergarten, you know, if warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. That's a spiritual principle. Yeah. We've already had two of the 4 classes, how to be an adult in relationship. I love this class because it's a conversation that really excites me. I love being in relationships. Love it. Especially now that it's deepened and transformed, it's now partnership. It's extraordinary. So if you want to come and you haven't signed up, feel free to just crash the class tomorrow. Class will be from 7 to 10. We're averaging about 80 people. Yeah, it's fantastic. And the course instruction is really, really simple. So we're using a book by David Rico called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. In the book, he espouses, Dr. David Rico, maybe he's not Dr. David Rico, 5 A's, the 5 A's of being a healthy adult in relationship, you know, accepting and allowing and affection and so on. But I've peppered the class with all the useful stuff that I've learned and applied after having ruined and destroyed and hurt so many relationships in the past. I mean, I know what I'm talking about. I have a trail of wounded people behind me. I can prove to you what doesn't work. So the types of things that we're exploring in the course are really practical applications, most of which, by the way, are so simple that you can hardly believe it, but that when applied can create miracles. But I've noticed that the one recommendation I make the most for people when they seek relationship counsel with me is the one that people avoid and ignore the most. It's the one that people don't want to do because they have all kinds of reasons about why they shouldn't have to do it and their partner should. It's a very simple application. See, I remember when I first met Mao. I wasn't interested when I met him. Have I told you that? He knows. And he goes, Dave, I feel like that sometimes about you too, even now. But once I had the revelation that I really wanted to pursue partnership with this man, once I had that revelation, I behaved in such a way to assure its success. Some call that dating. See, when you're dating, you do whatever you can to seal the deal. You show a little cleavage, you brush your teeth, you get mani-pedis, you dress sexy, you watch what you eat, you exercise, and then you get married. And as we say, the hunt is over, let the feast begin. We stop being each other's boyfriends or girlfriends. It's the advice I give people in how to be an adult in a relationship. The number one advice is it's time for you to be your spouse's boyfriend or girlfriend. Be your husband's girlfriend. Be your wife's boyfriend. And this is where people resist the most. All the reasons why they've tried that. I'll bet you haven't. I'll bet you haven't. Be your partner's boyfriend or girlfriend. Really. If you were just dating them, you would probably work a lot harder at trying to bring happiness into their day than you who isn't married and now, what's the word we use in the U.S.? entitled, which is, by the way, not a pretty and not an attractive quality. Entitlement is really deadly. Here's some more help. If you want to end a relationship, I have some advice. If you really want to end it, if you want to assure that it will die, and it may not die quick, it may take a long time, it could take decades, but this will do it every time. Withhold. If you want to end your relationship, withhold. Withhold sex. Withhold affection. Withhold communication. Withhold attention. If you want to guarantee its failure, withhold. So there's more. If you want to come to class tomorrow night, come on. And we get down and dirty. We're talking positions. There was a man in there yesterday. He said he put the KY in Kentucky. You don't want to miss this class. That's tomorrow night. Wow, I'm even blushing a little bit. So the lodestone of life is love, you know. If you have no love to give, you have no business being in relationship. If you need more than you give, you probably have no business being in a relationship. Imagine that your primary reason for being in a relationship is to make a contribution to your partner, to make an impact in their life, to bring them happiness, to bring workability. But you know that you've chosen wisely enough that you chose one who feels the same and does the same for you. Extraordinary things can happen with that. Lodestone. Wow. This week when I was at the convention, I ran into a friend named Jenny that I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen Jenny Goff in probably 15 years. So when I saw this woman across the room, she kind of looked familiar, but something was not quite right. Do you know what I mean by that? Do you ever see, you like in the presence of somebody or something and you think, something's amiss, awry. So when I got closer, this woman had a very interesting haircut. It was like bangs here, which was it was a cool haircut, and hair that came down across her cheek. And then she had her glasses on over that, so I could only see her left eye. She said, David. I said, Jenny. She said, I need to talk to you. I said, sure. I really need to talk to you. Something's been troubling me, and I need to talk to you. So I said, let's go. So we found a quiet little place. Now, once we sat down, she took off her glasses and pulled her hair aside, and she no longer has her right eye. What I didn't know is that in this last 8 months, Jenny had such a rare form of bone cancer, and that they had to remove a huge amount of bone around here and also her eye. And they've didn't even give her a prosthesis eye. They just literally, it's like this round piece of skin, and it was perfect and beautiful skin, but it was hard for me not to stare. And while I was speaking with her, or in the few seconds or nanoseconds of being in the presence of that, I thought, wow, wonder what she wants counsel from me. All kinds of stories one can make up. Help me process this. Light the fire underneath me again. Help me to not be bitter or trapped. And this is the stories. But you know what she wanted to talk to me about? 8 years ago, maybe 9, I was on a conference, a convention. I was on a committee for our denomination, and the committee made a phone call every month to each other. And in this committee meeting, we shared what's going on in our lives before we went on with the committee project. And I had just gone through a breakup, which was the end of the world. You know, my world is over. I'll never be the same. How could this happen? There could be no God. You know what I'm talking about. So just when the world is falling apart, it's actually falling together. Because if that hadn't happened, I never would have met Mauricio Lopez. I never would have found Clark Street. I wouldn't be here with you today. So that breakup was God's doing. But at the time, it was the end of the world. So on this committee call. I could hardly speak because I was a mess. And Jenny told me that the senior minister on that call, she thought, would address my grief. So Jenny didn't say anything like, I love you, I'm sorry, how are you? But the senior minister didn't, and the meeting went on, and we hung up. Now, I don't remember this conversation. But 8 or 9 years later, Jenny does. And so Jenny, who recently lost her eye to cancer, who's reconstructing not only her face but her life, pulled me aside to say that she has regrets that she didn't intercede in my behalf on that phone call. That's someone who's got the lodestone. That's someone who's really got a sense of what matters and what's important. And I want to learn from someone like that. I'm moved by that, actually. Dr. David Alt is the minister at the Atlanta Spiritual Center, one of our sister organizations. And Dr. David Alt is 54 years old, and he's been diagnosed with a heart condition. And what we learned this week in hearing him speak is that his father died when his father was 54. And his father died of a certain heart condition. So David is a little bit worried, he said, or he was a little bit scared. And then he had a revelation. And the revelation was that he's very grateful to know that he will someday die. Not that he wants to die at 54. Maybe he'll be 74. Maybe he'll be 104. Maybe he'll be 124. But he said that that information about his heart condition altered his life. And knowing that he is mortal has altered his life. Because every day for him now is absolutely precious. And every day matters. And he's no longer going to waste his time complaining and criticizing and belittling whomever and whatever is around him. But instead, he's only going to choose to do the things that really matter to him. And so he consciously structures his life such that he does only what it is that he wants to do. Not just complains about having to do what he doesn't want to do. And what I've noticed about him is even doing the stuff that he probably didn't want to do, he did it in such a way. He does it in such a way that it serves other people, and it becomes something that he was glad that he did. David Alt has the lodestone. He's a magnet for good and possibility. I'm going to close by mentioning again what many of you, most of you know, but not all of you, and that is that my first flight was on TWA. It was an L-1011 flying from Kansas City to Los Angeles. I was 12. And I flew pretty frequently over the next 10, 15 years, and sometime in my mid to late 20s, I started developing stories about flying, and I started hating flying and being terrified about flying to the point that it would ruin holidays. Like I would even go on vacation, get where I was, and not be able to enjoy my vacation because I was already worried about the flight back. Now, looking back on all this, what was really going on was I had a bunch of stories in my head, none of which was true. All of which was absolutely real for me, but none of which was based in reality. I was living life in a fantasy world, scared about the safest form of transportation, acting as if I had reason to be scared. And it was making life difficult for everyone around me, not to mention me. Fast forward a few years. I was able to not only manage it, but turn it around such that I actually love to fly. In fact, when we flew to Orlando, the flight was on Southwest, and we went from Oakland to Portland to Kansas City to Orlando, because I love the up and I love the down. Yeah, it's sick. It's sick, but it's like the best sickness ever. I love it. So, but when people say, well, how did you do it? I chose. I made a choice. It was that easy. I really made a choice. I chose to believe that there's a God to which everything is possible. And I chose to experience flying as extraordinarily beautiful, such that I became a lodestone for it. So Mauricio gave me a Christmas gift this year that he gave me, he paid for me to have my first flying lesson. Worst gift ever. But I didn't tell him that. I was just thinking, do you not know me? Well, apparently he does, because yesterday I took my first flying lesson, and it was like off the hook. Oh my God. So I was in this little, and I'm sure this plane, I'm sure it's from the Cold War. I swear. I'm sure it was flown in the Civil War. It even had ashtrays in the seat. It had ashtrays that had been used for decades, right? And wow. And it wasn't until after we landed that I found out that my instructor is a student. They don't tell you this till you come down. Anyway, I'm sharing this with you because it was yesterday when I was in a small prop airplane flying over my house in Oakland and then making a circle over the Golden Gate while the man next to me, who was qualified to take over should I mess up, allowed me to do things like turn the plane and take it up and down, and I landed the aircraft and took off. And I was in the presence of, oh my God. The stories we have in here can get in the way of the majesty that's possible. The stories have to be altered. One way to alter them is to practice. So I've got a practice to share with you, a practice that I want to give you as your homework or your mission or your assignment, should you choose to take it. And it comes from Eat, Pray, Love, both the book and the movie. Ketut discovers that Liz is a little too serious about her spiritual practice. Her spiritual practice becomes abusive to other people around her. She slays people with her spiritual practice. And he thinks that she needs to lighten up. So he tells her, here's your new practice, Liz. I want you to sit down and smile while you meditate. Not so easy, Liz. Smile with your face, and smile with your soul, and even smile in your liver. That's your assignment. And to me, that's the lodestone. The lodestone is to be able to be in life, whether you've got cancer, or you're facing a 54-year-old heart condition, or you're having difficulty or joys in a relationship, or fill in the blank. To be able to smile today is really the beginning of a new way of living. And so tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I look forward to seeing you in How to Be an Adult in Relationship. And until then, let's pray together, shall we? Tammy, would you... I don't know if you guys know this, but this woman is a superstar on the piano. This is Tammy Hall. Tammy, bring God into the room, will you? Bring God into the room. But at a speed I can keep up. Move into prayer pose, friends, whatever that means for you. And for those of you online, join us. Please move into prayer pose. So the purpose of prayer is not to bring God closer to me, but the purpose of prayer instead is to bring me closer to the God ideal that already exists. And so I'm praying right now for me and for anyone else who chooses to accept this prayer, that we might, from this moment forward, be our best selves. That we might actually become the lodestone that becomes a magnet for good, drawing to us people and events and circumstances and prosperity and joy and happiness, bringing to us a sense of peacefulness. And like any good magnet, it has its negative side, that which negates or reflects or refracts. While we are this lodestone, we are refracting unforgiveness, resentment, upset, stories, negation, hostility, and violence. I sense right now a sweetness that's taking over and descending upon us, and the God with which I speak, about which I speak, and with which you hear and about which you hear is the same. I really have nothing else to say. Worst gift ever became the best gift ever. Worst day ever can become best day ever. Worst relationship ever can become best relationship ever. Worst diagnosis ever can become best diagnosis ever. It's up to us. And the key is to choose. I choose God, and so it is. As is our custom, the ushers are going to come forward and help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. I'd like to invite our live stream audience. You can go to the Center's webpage and also donate if you'd like to join us in this giving. Everyone, I ask you to say the giving affirmation with me. I am generous and kind, and I trust my generous, kind nature. I attract the best people, things, and experiences. I expect lavish support so that I can lavishly support the world.
We are learning to breathe underwater on this path as a child of the moon. Though the mind wants to stay in some yesterday, your heart and your soul dance in time and in tune with everything. We are learning to fly without moving through the eyes of the angels with wings. Though the voice in the well cries there's comfort in hell, your spirit is one with the wind in the trees, in everything. Losing yourself to be more yourself, that's what the healers they say. When you come to the shore at the end of your day to pray, we are learning to dream with eyes open as we vision a world without greed. All of us bleed when some human need goes unanswered. Love is everything. Everything. Just everything.
Good morning. Will and Julie are up here with me today. I'm Lucy Witt, your announcement person. And Will, would you start us off?
Yeah, definitely. All right. Hi, my name is Will Jameson. I am 24 years old and a member of the Center for Spiritual Living. And what we have going on is that this Friday, upcoming Friday, at 7:30 p.m., we are going to be forming what we call the Young Adult Group. It's very creative. We came with this group because we're young adults, and we are forming a group, which is pretty new for the center, and I'll admit, and we're actually really interested to see who is out there and really wants to become in community with other like-minded individuals, prospering individuals, and who want to seek divinity in their life and do it together. And so if you have accumulated enough wisdom into your life where you have kids that would be interested, then please come talk to me afterward at the concierge, or I will see you this Friday. So thank you. And here's Julie.
Thank you, Will. Good morning. Happy Sunday, everyone. So this is my representation of the red carpet. It's to remind me of this Sunday, even though David told me I look like a bullfighter with it, so I won't wave it so much. I've been coming here for over 10 years, and I'm also a part of the Women's Connection. And the Women's Connection is coordinating the red carpet this next Sunday, March 2nd, and we are fabulously sold out. But with that, yes. So all of you who have bought your tickets, you are up for a fantastic treat. It is going to be a wonderful event, not just because of the Oscars, but because of the company and community in this room that you'll be enjoying it with. We are in need of a few volunteers. So if anybody is available to help with either setup or maybe part of the serving or afterwards, I will be in the community, in fellowship hall afterwards with this red carpet, so you'll find me. And if you're available to volunteer, please come by and let us know, and we'll help set that up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. Great. Tonight we have our Sunday night service from 6 to 7 p.m. My soul says yes to the Lodestone of Life. Reverend Susan and a special guest musician will be here. Also, today, after service at 12:30, we have the monthly visioning experience. So please join us for that. Sowing Seeds of Greatness with Reverend Susan on Wednesdays. This week's theme is blessings. Be brave. I like it. Eat, Play, Love. Now, Julie was just up here, and she's part of the Women's Connection. And this Friday, February 28th, they're going to have an evening of games and a potluck from 6 to 8 p.m. Sounds fun. Save the date. Drop-in coaching with Dr. David on Wednesdays, March 5th through the 26th for the unemployed, underemployed, and those dissatisfied with their job. Sign me up. The annual membership meeting is coming up on March 23rd from 1 to 3. It will be in Fellowship Hall. That's a great experience. Also, today is the last day to apply to serve on the Core Council or the Vision Corps. And you can contact Marcia Bencala for that. So if you are interested in that, it's a great experience. Leadership, it's got everything, how the church works. I encourage you to look at that. Also, we have certificated classes coming up. Foundations with Dr. David. Practical Mysticism with Maureen Ross, and Mind-Body Connection with Megan Dake Morell. And those all start in March. If you are interested in a partial or full scholarship, please see Max Overland today. And he's a tall gentleman, nice brown hair and silver glasses, and very loving. So have a wonderful Sunday. And also we have CDs. Your CDs are for sale, right? All right. Gina, yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I changed microphones. Thank you. Gina, that's extraordinary. And it's beautiful having you here today. Thank you. It's very timely. If there's anything going on in your life for which you'd like prayer, we have licensed prayer practitioners who will pray with you. It's free and it's fast and it's powerful. That's the chapel area. Just go hang out over there and they will pray with you. Don't pass it up. It's a free gift and it works. Have we forgotten anything? Are there any other community announcements? Okay. Would you please? Yes. Today's the last day for the stuffed animals. Where they're doing the outreach. Yes. I think we're going to bring them next Sunday. Next Sunday, we're going to bring them into the room, and people are going to pray with them, right? So yeah, next Sunday when you come in, there's going to be you're going to see people carrying stuffed animals in here. Please warn your guests. It could look kind of creepy. Richard. Monday from 7 to 9. Thank you. From 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Thank you, Will. Will was letting you know, for those of you who are online, the Sunday Bulletin is now going to be also on the app. So if you want to save trees and leave a bulletin behind, but still have one in your hand, you can get it on the app. Thank you, Will. Yes? Registration for Bali. Next Sunday, we're going to have a guest to help us out. There are 18 more slots available for Bali. So if you're interested in that, next Sunday is an opportunity to sign up. Yes? Age range, young adults? 18 to 35. I just barely missed it. It's my life. It's my fantasy. Would you all please stand and take the hand of the person on your right and on your left? And won't you join me in a moment of meditation? Won't you know with me that you and I are never alone, but the source energy, the thing itself, is where we are right now and always. And the only thing that we will ever need to do is look inside, because it is there we will find that we are guided and sustained and directed and inspired by this source that knows only good. So joyously, let us make use of these gifts in all that we think and say and do, and so it is. And as is our custom, won't you please repeat after me, something wonderful is happening as me right now. It's this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in my relationships. Life is in my finances. I see it. I think it. I feel it. I believe it. I accept it. I express it just the way that it is and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life.